Our buddy, TSN analyst, Jamie McLennan joins us.
Hey guys.
Hello, James.
What's
How we
going
doing?
on?
Not much, buddy.
No, I see a Christmas tree in the background. That's very nice.
Yeah, there's a little like it's kind of just a little guy. It just kind of sits on the
Little Charlie Brown tree. There you go.
Yeah. So we'll and then Retro and down in his dungeon.
Did you go get a new tree? Because yours is too small, Noodles. Come on.
No, I told my wife, I said, this is the last year of that one, and it's gonna find its way into the garbage. I have to build that damn thing. It's okay. And it's the lights and all of that, and the box is all weathered.
Yeah.
Like I don't know. Christmas, I'm not there. And because I got a 7-year-old, this elf on the shelf is a problem now because you forget. And then my 11-year-old who's coming 12, she still kind of believes. So she's like, finger and vanilla didn't move last night. And I'm looking at my wife going, you forgot to move these things. And,
spoiler alert, James.
Yeah.
We have people of all ages that watch.
Oh, yeah.
But no, and you know what? He can be crafty. That son of a gun makes a mess, and then you're left to clean it up. Well,
exactly. So these elves, they move everywhere.
Yeah,
so.
what we could do probably as a group of guys, we could compare notes just to see what everybody else's elf has been up to, just so we maybe know what to look out for. Be on the lookout for him getting into the spilled out, got into the bag of oranges, and they were all over the floor.
Getting into the Oreo Coke.
Oh my goodness!
What?
Is that Oreo Coke Zero?
Yes, Oreo Coke Zero. I saw it. I was just at Shoppers Drug Mart. I'm like, what is this? So I bought it.
And you went for it.
I went for it. It does taste like Coke with like an Oreo.
You dipped Oreo cookies in it.
Like weird.
So is this, you've experienced that before? Like that's a dietary choice you've made in the past?
I just saw it. I'm like, I'm gonna try it. Like, all right. Like I like Coke. I like stuff like that. I like healthy, what they call healthier soda if you're going to drink it. But this was staring at me at Shoppers. I'm like, I'm going to try this thing. And I don't know. I don't say it disappoints. It's a bit weird. That's
one and done.
Yeah. Like it'll be one and done. Maybe I thought about like, if you could, wonder what it'd be like if you threw a little vodka in there or something like that.
It's just never too early to try.
Well, it is too early to try. It's only 12:36 here, and it is way too early for me to try.
So, you know what's not too early, Noodles?
What?
Me licking my chops, waiting for those cheese toast and steak at Caesar's. Oh, baby.
So how are we going to win this bet here? What's going on?
Your team has to be in a playoff position. It ain't happening.
You said the Predators were going to come back and make the playoffs, and Rhett said no, and it was a double order of cheese toast at Caesar's Steakhouse.
Well, listen, they've got points in 8 out of 11 games. We'll see. Like it's still like we're still in we're in a marathon, not a sprint. And we had Barry Trotz on. I chatted with him yesterday, and he got great perspective. He said, when he did his research on like guys, like he called them legacy players coming over to your organization. He said sometimes it takes them a while to settle into their environment. He said he talked to one manager that it took one of his players a full year before he felt comfortable in his new environment. And he said, but that guy ended up staying for like 5 or 6 years. So he goes, you got to look at this as an investment. He goes, I have talked about maybe blowing it up. And he goes, he goes, I got too strong on those words. He goes, it would be a retool to give some of these young kids. Cause he said, we could have as many as 9 players in the World Junior Tournament. So he goes, we got some good young players coming. But that being said, he goes, I expect them to be better. He goes, and I personally, I do. I think they're better on paper. We'll see. They play the Leafs tonight, so who knows?
Did Trotzy mention the cheese toast? Did that come up in the conversation?
Yeah, because next year,
it takes guys a little while, and next year and World Juniors and all that. But Noodles, I'd get your wallet out because it's going to be double cheese toast.
It might have to be like, I'm not giving up yet. That's my point. It's lean, very lean.
Second last.
Well, I was
looking at a team that won 18 games in a row last year. Remember?
Oh, that's a normal thing. That happens a lot. So you go ahead and expect that.
Yeah,
can we bet on that not happening again? Because I'll take that bet as well.
That's not going to happen again. And I don't think the Oilers are going to win 16 in a row. But I do think these teams learn that when their back is against the wall, they got to play a lot better. I think Nashville is a better team than they show, but they have to show it. So it is what it is.
I mean, 2 wins in their last 10 games. They've played 25 of them.
They've lost 5 in overtime.
Yeah.
Or shootout. That's the thing. He goes, that could go either way. And that's the truth. You got to get those points. That's the biggest thing. You got to get those points. So maybe tonight.
How hard are you pandering for a job in Nashville?
I don't want a job in Nashville at all.
You don't want a job in Nashville.
I don't want a job. You know why? I don't want a job in hockey, because as long as I don't swear on air, I can sleep with myself. Like, I can go to sleep at night. When I finish a broadcast, Ottawa Senators lose to Anaheim the other night in a shootout, 4-3. The minute that the producer goes, and we're clear, I forgot about the game. I don't live with it. I don't got to go over tape. I don't got to answer to an owner. I don't got to get on a quiet bus or get on the plane and have a coach come back and have to give me heck and all of that. I'm done my job. So the minute you start working for a team, your hair goes gray. I'm losing my hair, but it still has a decent color. Allegedly there has been a little bit of shoe polish put in once or twice, but that's fair. But for the most part, like, you're relaxed. It's like, okay, it's like you guys. Do you want to work for the Flames or talk about it? Like, I'd rather talk about them. Like, I just, that's the way I look at it.
Conroy would never hire me. So
he didn't like you. He loves you, actually. You were a great teammate with him. But I look at it and those guys are under stress daily. They got to manage up and they got to manage down. And
speak about it, because in Ottawa, you're around it a little bit. What is the stress level there? Are they doing well enough? Is it a new coach, so it's a little more laid back? Like, they have to come around at some point, I guess. And are they?
You know what? I think they've got, to me, they've got like a little bit of reprieve with the new the new manager, the new coach, the new owner. But there is an urgency. You got to make strides. Like, I think the Ottawa Senators should be pushing for a playoff spot this year. That's it. Like, they got to, and to me, out of the teams that are on the bubble, that were on the bubble last year, Detroit, Buffalo, Montreal, I think is not there, but they would be another team. I do believe Ottawa is the best out of all of those, but you got to show it. And people say, well, you need top end talent. Well, Tim Stützle's on pace for, I think, 100 points this year. Brady Tkachuk is, a very unique guy, because, you've got a guy who could score.
Especially nowadays.
Yeah, 30 to 40 goals and can fight and do everything. Drake Batherson makes $4.8 million, and he's a 75-point guy, 75 point. Like, they've got some pieces there. Jake Sanderson's going to be a wonderful player, but he's 21, 22. Like, Josh Norris is 25. Shane Pinto's 22. Like, I look at it, their group is young and immature, but that's why they brought in Amadio, Cousins, Perron, traded for Jensen. All of those guys, if you ask me, I don't think that they've been able to raise their level and help this team. Like, depth scoring has been a problem. The top of the roster scores. Like, they can, like, Stützle's got 29 points in 23 games or whatever it is. It's the bottom of the roster. Nick Cousins just scored his second goal the other day. Amadio's got 3. Noah Gregor's got 1. Like, your David Perron hasn't scored. Now, he's had some personal stuff. And to me, there just has to be more. And honestly, the biggest thing that you could get for all of this is they've got one goalie, that's one stolen game from a goaltender, and that was Ullmark the other day. Literally, he stole the one in San Jose where they were outshot 39-11. So they got to play better.
What about San Jose? Like, they're winning hockey games.
Well, they're better than they were last year. They've got capable goaltending. I like Blackwood. He might get traded. I think he's a nice goaltender that teams would be looking for. but I think their D are like stable. And this Celebrini's a player. Like he's a player. He's not, hey, he's not a project. This guy's a player right now. And I can't wait to see what he's going to be like 2 years from now. But he's more, I laid eyes on Bedard the other night and I laid eyes on Celebrini. I think Celebrini might be more rounded right now than Bedard. I guess the threshold for Bedard seems to be there to be a superstar. He just is kind of having some, I think some sophomore, looks right now. But Celebrini is like all over it. And they got this other kid, Will Smith, who's a really nice player too. So I think you look at San Jose. Plus, I always tell people this too, and I don't know whether you believe it or not. San Jose, Columbus, Chicago, they get everyone's backup. They get everyone's like, hey, that's a point night. I'm going to I think these teams are able to surprise teams because the team going in isn't looking at them like it's looking at them going, we're better than you. We should beat you tonight. And maybe there's a layer of respect that comes off of them. And then these teams come out and they play hard. And Columbus, I think, outside of last night, but I think, is it 6 times or 7 times they've scored 6 goals this year?
They've been really good. They're one of the top, they're one of the top 5-on-5 teams in terms of goals scored. And last night, I think we were just kind of talking about for both teams, you just kind of wipe it off of the ledger because of the emotions and everything that was going into it.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I'm with you. Just I feel like I need to start watching Celebrini more because people are talking about him and like calling his numbers up here. So because we knew he was injured. Playing center as a whatever he is, 18. Yep. He's got 15 points in 16 games, 19 minutes and 45 seconds a night. So yeah, he's playing. But then to come back to it, and we'll move on because I don't want to be hammered on Ottawa necessarily. But if, like you say, if you layer the rosters top on top, I'm gonna take Ottawa. There's so many of those guys there that I feel like are. But and now San Jose is where they're at. But
here's one thing too that I will say. There's no margin for error with them. So they go and get Nick Jensen on D, he's actually been really good for them. Artem Zub has been a real stable. He's the Rhett Warner, the stable, stay at home, gritty, all of that. He gets a concussion early, and then he's got another injury now. So all of a sudden, now you're asking Travis Hamonic to play against top pairing people or play more minutes. And God love him. You guys know him. Tries hard, good citizen, all of that. There's nights where it's like, okay, now all of a sudden Hamonic is being miscast. And then you're asking Jacob Bernard Docker to go into there and kind of come up like there's just no margin for error. It's thin. So their depth gets challenged. So you hear Steve Stais is in the market for a defenseman. Well, there's 8 other teams that are in the market for a top 4 right shot defenseman. So good luck with that, unless you're willing to spend currency that, and teams aren't you're calling you going, hey, I'll give you a lifeline. I'll give you a real good defenseman for a 7th rounder. It'd be like, I want that live roster player right now. And, that's the interesting part right now. I'm sure they're trying to do stuff, but they're also asking in-house, let's play better. Let's not give up high quality chances. And to be honest, if you look at their shots against, I think they're 3rd in the league. They don't give up a lot of shots, but they give up chances. And that's where you need a goaltender. The goaltender masks everything. You guys have seen it. Yeah. Dustin Wolf has been unbelievable in certain scenarios where it's like, okay, that just saved that guy a trip to the video room because he burped one up into the slot or whatever. Like that happens left and right. They haven't gotten league average goaltending consistently. They've gotten good performances and poor performances. I think there's a lot of things I could say that Ottawa needs to be better at, but I could probably go, I said that last year and the year before too.
It's the big day for the 4 Nations roster announcement. I think there were some people chuckling yesterday as those jerks at TSN were releasing the rosters because they're not a rights holder, so they're happy to throw out to blow up the big announcement, the 4:30 announcement. Everybody will know who's going to be on the team. I'm not looking for you to comment necessarily, but kind of what it sounds like. and from what we're hearing is there's going to be some surprises. There's going to be some guys on that it'll make you kind of scratch your head. And we were talking with Dregs on Friday, and he said, don't be surprised if this is going to be more of a team, more of a well-rounded. They're not just going to take the best scorers and throw them onto 4 lines and then go and play. There's guys like Sam Bennett going to make this team. There's some guys on the blue line. Colton Parayko could be on this team where some other guys have been left off. Is that the right approach? Is how much of it is due to maybe concerns in net that you want to be able to play a better, well-rounded game to protect that net minding? What are your thoughts?
That's a great point. I think because if you're making an all-star team, some of those guys don't make it. If you're making a team that you believe in a shortened tournament that could gel, there's pairings there, Theodore and Petrangelo, guys that have played together, the chemistry, that type of stuff, I do believe. I also do believe that the people involved, Doug Armstrong watches Colton Parayko every night. All of a sudden, Colton Parayko is in the mix. John Cooper loves Anthony Cirelli. Well, Anthony Cirelli's in the mix. Brandon Hagel's having a great season. All of a sudden his name is floated by. Like, these guys who are involved, they're looking at guys that they know that they can trust, can work into a system. So I do believe that Hockey Canada is going with an approach is we're creating a team. We're not creating an all-star game and an all-star team, which I don't know if that's the right approach. You make a good point about the goaltending situation. Do we need guys that block shots and lay it all on the line, or do we need a guy like Cale Makar who can just skate it out, or Evan Bouchard who will make an 80-foot saucer pass through the middle, and if it gets picked off, he'll look like he's out for a Sunday skate, and if not, it's a great pass. Like, obviously, they're going the other way because. And to be honest, I know there's people in Edmonton that felt that there were snubs. Those players that were snubbed were not playing well enough. That's the way I look at it today. If you're looking at, Zach Hyman at 3 goals and is injured, I get that.
Yeah.
Bouchard hasn't played well enough, and Stuart Skinner hasn't played consistent enough. I thought he played. Listen, the goal he allowed last night was a broken play, but outside of that, like, it's a 1-0 game. Like, he's actually played well in his last, we'll call it 8 to 10 games, but
yeah, you give up 1 a night, you're going to win a lot of games in an Oiler net.
Agreed.
Yeah.
So I guess my thing is we're going to question, but we could also go, okay, the team that's laid out on paper today, we can do an all snub team, and that team would be a hell of a team too.
Might be just as good.
It might be just as good. It might beat the team that, like, it just depends, like, on any given night. Now, you could argue, I still am biased that I think Canada is putting the 3 best players on the ice in any given, in this tournament, which would be McDavid, McKinnon, and Makar. And then everybody else falls in under, another, no Matthews, and I know Kachuk and the kid, Jack Hughes, guys like that. They're all special players, but I think Canada has the 3 best, and then everybody else falls in underneath that. Certainly not the case in net, but you need one guy to play solid and just be good enough. And, Binnington, that's the one thing. If you're going legacy, these guys, 2 of them have won Stanley Cups, and Binnington won a Game 7 on the road, to deliver a Stanley Cup. And Aiden Hill came in a pressure situation and played very well for Vegas, and they won the Stanley Cup. So on the biggest stage, they've excelled. Montembeault has a history with Hockey Canada, World Championships, played very well for them. I think they look at he's in a tough situation in Montreal, and it might be looking towards the future that we think this guy's a good goalie, and we want to bring him into the mix instead of bringing a Marc-Andre Fleury legacy guy into it. That's probably what they're thinking, but we could debate it all day.
Mm. Well, Rhett and I are real hungry to debate.
Yeah, we love diving in.
And I don't want to be that guy, because if people, it's best on best, and there are a lot of people that are very excited, and I don't want to. Be the curmudgeon. It's like, definitely let's watch it and let's hope it's great and all of that sort of thing. But it's does not feel the same as an Olympics for me. But we'll watch it. Hey, Rhett, we'll watch it.
Popcorn. I love popcorn.
Yeah.
I'm gonna make corn and
so
watch
good.
You guys, I don't know if I've told you this. I'm not very interested in it. It's not best on best because you could argue that 4 of the top 10 players on the planet are not playing in it in Kucherov, Draisaitl, Panarin, Vasilevsky, if you believe that, Shesterkin. Like, I get it, but I'm not going to watch it. I'm going to watch it, but the one thing is, if you win, like, is that sitting on your mantle going, I won the Four Nations Cup? Like,
but that's what they're trying to create, something they've tried to do it in the past and it doesn't work. And I've argued with Pinder about it. Why do we need it? Why is the Stanley Cup not good enough? Like, it's best on best. That is the best on best. That's the best 2 teams in the world.
Yes, I agree.
And the Stanley Cup Finals, at that moment, those are the best 2 teams in the world. Enjoy.
Yes.
Instead, we have to dismantle it. I get the Olympic side because the Olympics has been around forever. And if Canada is in harpooning in the Olympics, I'm watching.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
which is super exciting, to be honest.
Is
that one of those trial sports?
Yeah, it's trial
harpooning.
Sport, but the point being, there's a history to the Olympics that goes back one hell of a long way. The Four Nations is just a clear cash. Like it. Oh, there he is. He'll argue the other side.
There's a guy.
Oh, this is ridiculous. You're telling me the 2 best hockey teams in the world that played in the final last year wouldn't have been mopped on the floor by Team USA or Team Canada? Get out of here with your horrible takes, guys. How are you this morning?
I think Florida would probably.
Come on, get out of here. Look at the bottom
I'm
6.
telling
Noodles. You always say lineup over
not how it works,
garbage.
Pinder. It's not how it works.
Get out of here.
You could still punch one of those guys in the face and see what happens.
I can get a full team of face punches. I can get my Tom Wilsons and everyone else on that other team. Don't worry about it.
It's not best on best. 4 of the top 10 players on the planet are not playing in it.
Yeah, but that team never wins anything anyway.
Best player on the planet, in my opinion.
Sure.
I think he's going to be sitting in Bahamas watching.
So Noodles, we're missing the team that always finishes like 4th to 6th. That's what we're missing here. Russia.
They're 4th to 6th. I don't think.
When have they done well in these tournaments? Olympics. Walk me through it.
I still think the best players are the best. You're using the word best on best. It's not best on best.
For 4 countries, it is. Yeah, it's 4 of the 5 best nations on earth for hockey. That's what it is. And until Russia politically is out of the penalty box, you can't do anything about it. I'd love to see Russia there for the hockey, but politically, it's a PR nightmare for the league. I understand why it's that way.
I get it, but my thing is it just, when they say it's best on best, it's not, because the guy who won the Hart Trophy will be drinking beer in the Bahamas. And
okay, so if Anze Kopitar wins Hart, then it's not best on best if Slovenia's not in?
Well,
he
best
is one of
players
the best.
are best players. That's what, like, my point is like, you can't just go, hey, you know what? Like, who's the best artist on the planet right now? Taylor Swift? Like, she's in the wrong country, so we're going to bring in Drake.
So until Germany's in this tournament, we can't say best on best because Leon's plays for Germany.
I'm just saying best on best. The Olympics, is Germany in the Olympics?
They might qualify for a pool. They might not. I don't know.
Oh, Ryan, you're being a bucket tipper.
I am, but you guys are also being the classic old man shakes fist at cloud. There's some room in the middle for the truth, I'm sure.
Okay, so let me ask you this: if you win this, what is it called? The Four Nations Cup.
This is a Four Nation face-off, yeah.
Do you think these guys are like, I won, skate around and put it on their mantle? You think
but what I do think is that you're starting to build a business model that allows players and owners to make more money.
That's exciting. That's what gets my blood pumping, is the business models that make money for the owners.
The old dad's excited because USA Canada should be the best rivalry in hockey right now, and we've been missing it for over a decade.
Nope, I'm not missing it. I'm not missing it. That's the point.
It's because you haven't seen the Kachucks go out and punch Crosby in the face. Well, of course you're not missing it.
They're not going to in these silly, stupid, short tournaments. It's not the same. You don't go play. It's not a best of 7. It's not NHL. We love the NHL because it's a war of attrition for 2 months, and the guys that are committed have to battle through it and suck it up and compete. And sometimes you can send a message. You're playing a 5-game tournament. You don't get to punch someone in the face.
I agree.
Because you go in the box and you get scored on and you're eliminated.
I assure you this is not what the NHL wants is the finish line, but they have to get out of the blocks.
Yeah,
and that's what this tournament is.
You make a compelling argument there. They're trying to do something other than an all-star game or whatever. Yes. I get that. And before you came on, all 3 of us admitted we're watching. We're not going to go, oh, I'm not watching it because it's this or this or this. I'm watching. I'm just not as invested in it because it's just, like you say, it's a starting point, but it's like, all right, I do get it. I'm more interested in the Olympics, but again, the Olympics is next year. So this is what we have for right now. I'm not turning it off. I will watch every minute, every game, every, fist punch or whatever.
Can I ask you a question, Noodles, being an ex-player? So you're still playing and this event's going on. Are you disappointed you have to go or excited? And I'm not joking. There are guys that get invited to this shit and they don't want to go. Yeah. They want to go to the Bahamas for the 10-day break. Like, come on.
I think there are guys that are going, yeah, I got to do this thing. You know what I mean? I got to play in this thing, or I want, I think, but they're also been sold that this is the precursor for the Olympics. So
that's what this is about.
Yeah. So this is, we're building. I agree with Pinder on that. Like, this is a precursor. This is kind of the appetizer. There are guys that I do wonder if in the final game, is there going to be a guy that like blocks a shot? I'm trying to caution people because everybody wants this, but keep in mind your best player is subjecting himself to an injury potentially. Right. And, in all-star games, guys don't get injured. They just skate around and half of them are hungover and whatever. In this situation, there might be an injury to a top-tier player that changes the course of your favorite organization's, the way that they chart towards the playoffs or into the playoffs. That's what I'm concerned for. And I've talked to a few managers. I'm in the rinks all the time. They're terrified of that.
It's the same risky run with Olympics, right? We saw John Tavares break his leg, wasn't that? Or is it Stamkos? There were some big names that we lost.
Tavares. Tavares got hurt at the start of.
Well, it wasn't that Eric Stahl blew his knee out because Aroff or whatever hip checked him, low bridge. Like, I get it. You run the risk. We also run the risk of going to the bar and stepping off a curb and snapping.
Like Pinder says,
Chicago. Got to be careful in Chicago.
I know a guy who cut his hand in Chicago 2 days before the game and got sewn up in a kitchen. And you know what?
He cut his whole every limb.
Well, and almost the carotid artery in his leg and all. There was all hell breaking loose.
Yeah, tough town.
That's tough town.
Very stabby, that Chicago. It's very
table dive, and the dive. When you do a table dive and you don't slide this way, you just land on top of things. And things shoot up. That's
impaling. That's what that is.
Allegedly what I remember from that dire night. But at the end of the day, we will be talking about it. I don't know, Pinder, where you are on the rosters or whatever. Like, what do you make of Parayko and
I think if Parayko's not a Blue, he's not on this team. I think you kind of alluded to that. And that doesn't mean it's a bad pick. Like, he's a very good defensive defenseman with no offense right now. And he kind of came into the league on the other side of that spectrum.
Yeah.
So he's going to be good at what they want him to do, which is be a shutdown third pair guy. I just think if Doug Armstrong had Chris Tanev on his blue line, he'd go there. If he had Mackenzie Weegar, who could play both sides and give you some offense, he'd be there. It just feels a little biasy. Hagel's having a great year. I have no problem with that. Point was a lock, so the Cooper thing I don't really see. But
Seravalli?
I love Seravalli. He's a perfect shutdown center. You look at his defensive metrics; he's through the roof. Like, if you want to shut down fourth line, it's Stone, that guy Hagel. Sure, absolutely.
Dean, have you looked at his defensive metrics?
Ooh. Not recently, no.
No, and I get it. You guys don't, and that's fine. You don't have to, but I mean, results matter. Like,
no, but you can't.
So I like to see what the data is saying about his defensive play. That's why I look at it. I did.
The point being is, if you're going to point at Parayko and be like, well, I don't know. Oh, Cirelli. The point is, the star caliber players. There's higher caliber star players that are not on the team.
I agree.
So whether you're okay with Cirelli and not okay with Parayko, they're building a team.
Cirelli's got a higher.
Are you with that philosophy? Are you okay with that philosophy? Because remember, it was Rob Zamener's on the team. Well, Andy Murray coaches him in Tampa Bay, so he's taken him to the Olympics, and it was a fart in church. It felt so flat.
And they had was it Brendan Moore or somebody else that went to? You're just like, oh, that's not the best player available.
Well, it was Zamaner, yeah.
Zamaner and another guy in Nagano is no good.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's a binary where you either build that team or the all-star team. Like, it's a sliding scale. And I think even when we're talking about this World Junior team, like, you left 4 kids out of the top 9 picks at the last draft, didn't even invite them to the tryout camp. Like, I think sometimes Hockey Canada does get a little too, this line has to do this and this line has to do that. And we forget that, like, an all-star centerman can actually check and play on a third line if you ask him to. He's a better skater, better hands. He's smarter than the guy you're going to replace him with, i.e. Zamner. But I don't think they've gone off the deep end with this roster. I always would like to err a little more on the side of skill. Like, the junior team lost to Czechia and couldn't score last year at the tournament, and they pass over 4 of the top 9 picks in the draft. That seems like genius branding a lot more than this Four Nations roster.
They better. My thought process with this World Junior team is they better win.
You have to.
Because they're like that, and maybe they went with a more veteran. It sounds like they're going with more like older guys, 19-year-olds, and I get that. But you're right. Like, this Yakimchuk, like, I know Ottawa's pissed. Like, I get the pulse of that.
Steos said the statement, yeah.
But he's a nice player. Like,
physical,
right.
big, yeah.
Like Tija Ginla. Like, this is me personally. And this is, I'm taking this more personally because I love Jerome, love the family, all of that. But like, everything Jerome's done for Team Canada.
That is a weird one.
I would call them up and go, lose my number. Like, I would literally go, do not ever ask me to help your organization out again. If you're going to jam don't even invite him to the camp. Like,
that's the thing. It's not a snub that they didn't make the team. They weren't invited to try out.
Like, at least let them get on the ice and make a decision who you like more. I think this is idiotic.
Well, you know what it is? Hockey Canada has this arrogance about them. They've always have.
Yes.
It's like, hey, we're smarter than everybody. Great. If you're smarter than everybody, you better damn well win. That's the thing. Like, because they can look back if they win and go, we chose the right team. No problem. And I want to give them the benefit of the doubt. There's a lot of smart hockey people there. But I'm also looking at the big picture. You're looking at the future too, as well. To a camp, not even to, like, here's the final team. Just to the training camp, they're leaving off the future of that World Junior team. And to me, if one of these guys next year plays in the NHL and they get the option to go, they're going to say, to hell with you. Like, that's the way I would look at it. And I don't know where Tish Aginla is in his progression.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's smart enough and a good enough player to fit in there, and to not get him to camp after what his dad has done for Canada alone. I don't know.
Tish has done enough on his own 2 feet, let alone what his old man did for you.
That should be a tie break, but he's there on his own merit to begin with. It's silly.
I understand that. It's just, I guess that's just the emotional side of me going, I was just blown away when I didn't see Tija Ginla there, just on so many different levels. Like, even if you say to Jerome, like, you know what, we don't know if your son will make the team, but we're going to put him there because we think he's good enough. He might be a future there, but like, give him the experience. If you're talking about, next year, a lot of these guys would probably be on that team. I was disappointed in it. Again, I want to give Hockey Canada the benefit of the doubt, but I hope they know what they're doing, because
they've done this before. 1996 or 98 in Nagano, totally Galaxy brand themselves, trying to build a team rather than taking the best hockey players available. And they took an older, name brand, but not the best players team in 2006 and got walloped and finished 7th in Italy. Like, that's embarrassing. Then last year at the World Juniors again. So I think Hockey Canada, like, they probably have philosophies there, but you got to revisit them if they don't work. Like, if this team loses at the World Juniors, that's 2 years in a row you've left really talented players at home.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
Ryan, did you want to roll out the red carpet for our buddy Jamie for next month?
Okay, so here's the thing. Ottawa plays on the 19th of December here in Calgary.
Yes.
That is their one visit of the year. We usually chat with you on Wednesdays. That's the 18th. I don't know your travel plans, but Boom, Rhett, myself, and the Barneys, all our listeners, we're going to chip together the cost cancellation or rebooking fees, because we have a drinky show on the 20th of Friday that is an annual event that is our most highly acclaimed and critically acclaimed show in our show's history of coming up on 2.5 years.
I think you've been a guest
there Friday.
Yeah.
So you want me to be on the show on the Friday, the 20th?
I don't know what the Sens schedule is.
I don't want
know
you on the show. I want you in the studio.
We need you here.
So what time is that at?
We will.
Here's the problem: is I would do it. I got to do overdrive that day, remote.
No, that's a
You
problem.
can do it from our studio.
Yes.
I can't be Bernie Lomax.
Yes, you can. That's
you guys pull on a string and my arm goes up. It's like, hey, how you doing? Now,
So
you guys are enjoying yourselves.
Enjoying is an understatement. So the premise is 90 minutes, 10 drinks.
After OD, I can come on, but I can't do the festives. Like I can't,
Wear an official's jersey.
Because I have a day job. Like
you can officiate.
I'll give you my glasses. They'll never know.
Exactly. But we will discuss, but I would absolutely and gladly come on the show. I would have to figure out, like, I would have to come and meet you after. That's basically, I'll be on the show.
After, or puddles. No.
I can't.
No, listen, now it is what you need it to be. If you need to just kind of let off the gas a little bit, then that's
throw neutral for a bit.
Let's discuss. Let's work through this.
We'll discuss.
We're loading up with coves. We're going to roll out the red carpet.
We will discuss off air, and then we'll come up with a solution on it.
That's great.
When are the Sens done? Do they have one more out west before they go home before Christmas?
Yeah, so no, I'm in Edmonton on the 22nd, the Sunday. I do that.
Good. So you get some time.
So
you can have a 2-day hangover.
They're in Ottawa. I'm sorry, they're in Vancouver on the 21st. That's not our game. That's not our property.
Right. That's just.
So I'm going to Edmonton. Yeah. I was supposed to go to Edmonton on the 20th. So we'll figure that out.
The 21st is a good day too, though.
We'll Uber you up there. No problem.
And of course, cheese toast, right?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know they're going to
be on the show.
Nashville's not going to be in a playoff spot in 2 weeks.
You're not going to be eliminated either, right, Noodles?
Exactly. So there's still Mary Swanson. 1 in a million. There's still a chance.
Unbelievable.
I like him spinning. He's like, points at 8 of their last 10. You're like, there's 2 wins in there.
Yeah, but there's 5 overtime losses.
That's the math. Yeah.
5 points. So they're still coming.
Flames see them next week. I'm curious.
Oh.
All right. I got to go.
Get out of here.
You guys are you're trying to get me drunk on air. I can't do that. Yeah, I'm a professional. Didn't you guys do that?
That's the only reason people watch us. I was drunk on air last night.
Yeah, he did a good job of that. Just funneling Coronas. They were evaporating on site.
Nothing wrong with that. Like last night was emotional. We didn't even talk about it. I mean, it was, it just my heart like hurt, it just was so tough. But, I thought the Flames did a great job. I really did. And the fans were very gracious and, Guy and everybody like this. It just was, and for the team to win and then to make him first star and Johnny first star, it was just, I was all cried up, put it that way. I was watching it last night and I was choked up. So
thanks, Bernie. We'll talk to you next week.
We'll see you later. Chat later.
Did he drop a Weekend of Bernie's reference? Is that what it was?
Well, he said, I can't be Bernie Lomax.
See, I didn't get the last name, but now I get it. Okay.
Yeah, so basically saying he'd be
corpse, yeah.
And you know what? Because I think about Jack when we have these references, I know for sure he's not going to know Bernie Lomax.
No.
Would you even know Weekend at Bernie's?
I think there was like a hip hop dance, do the Bernie, where the people were like,
I see.
Heads, and that might be like a pop culture tag for him.
And then the subtle Swanson in there at the end with the 1 in a million talk. He's so good at it. It's really unbelievable. Good. He's one of he's first ballot Hall of Famer when it comes to name drops. Fantastic.
Hey guys, thanks for watching. Be sure to check out more of our content right here on the Flames Nation YouTube page. We had a bunch of great long form interviews. You can check out some videos we've done as well outside of the studio. And of course, if you want more writing or merchandise stuff, flamesnation.ca or nationgear.ca. Appreciate you watching.